10 Down WJ presents A Storm of Judgment and Grace. As the snow began to swirl outside, casting a gray shadow over the town, I hurried into the grocery store, my mind racing with thoughts of the impending storm. The local news had warned of a significant snowfall, and like many others, I was here to stock up on essentials: bread, milk, and a few comfort foods to last through the blizzard. The moment I entered the grocery store, I was taken aback by the atmosphere. The aisles were crowded, and the air was thick with urgency. People moved swiftly, their carts filled to the brim as they prepared for the cold. But it wasn't just the frantic shopping that caught my attention. It was a group of individuals gathered near the meat department, their voices rising above the hum of the store. Curiosity piqued, I made my way over to see what was causing such a stir. As I approached, I could hear snippets of conversation. A middle-aged man, his face flushed with fervor, stood at the center of the group, gesturing passionately as he spoke. He was proclaiming a message that sent ripples of discomfort through the crowd. Jesus warned us over 2,000 years ago, he declared, his voice booming. And yet look at you all. You're rushing to fill your carts with food, but where is your urgency to seek him? Where is your faith? The words hung in the air like a heavy fog. A few people nodded, but many others looked away, their expressions a mix of annoyance and defensiveness. I felt a wave of disapproval wash over me as I witnessed this man's condemnation. While his message held a grain of truth, his delivery felt harsh and misplaced. Instead of encouraging those around him, he was pushing them further away. I glanced down at my jacket, the words, "With God, all things are possible," emblazoned across the fabric. In that moment, I realized that I could carry a message without uttering a single word. The sentiment reminded me that even amidst the storm brewing outside, there was a deeper storm within the hearts of those gathered around the meat department: fear, uncertainty, and perhaps a longing for something more than just physical sustenance. As I stood there, I couldn't help but reflect on the man's words. His comparison of grocery shopping to seeking Jesus was thought-provoking. In times of crisis, it seemed that people instinctively prioritized their physical needs over their spiritual ones. I understood the urgency of stocking up on provisions. After all, a snowstorm could leave us isolated for days. Yet, there was an undeniable truth in the need for spiritual nourishment, something that many seemed to overlook in the chaos of life. The man continued, his voice rising in intensity. You think a full fridge will save you from the storm. What about the storms of your soul? Only Jesus can truly provide for you. I could feel the tension in the air, and it struck me that while he sought to share a message of hope, his approach was rooted in judgment. Instead of drawing people in, he was pushing them away. I wondered how different the scene would be if he conveyed his message with love and compassion, rather than condemnation. What if he invited others to explore their faith rather than chastising them for their priorities? As I quietly observed, I caught the eye of a young woman nearby. She looked bewildered, her cart filled with groceries and her expression a mixture of confusion and hurt. I felt a sense of empathy wash over me. I wanted to reach out to her, to remind her that even in the midst of chaos, there was a hope that transcended our circumstances. "Excuse me," I said softly, approaching her. I couldn't help but overhear what he was saying. "I believe there's a way to share faith that encourages rather than judges. It's okay to be here, preparing for the storm. We're all human, and we all have our struggles." Her eyes flickered with gratitude, and for a moment, the heaviness in the air seemed to lift. "Thank you," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I just wanted to get through this shopping trip without feeling guilty." As we spoke, I realized that there were many others around us who likely felt the same way. The storm brewing outside mirrored the turmoil within, and perhaps we were all seeking a sense of reassurance. With each passing moment, I felt a growing conviction that I needed to embody the message I believed in, demonstrating grace and understanding in a chaotic world. After a few minutes, the man's voice rose above the crowd once more. "You're all so focused on the physical. Don't you see? The real food you need is Jesus." His words echoed in the store, and I watched as some shoppers rolled their eyes while others continued to pass judgment on him. What would Jesus do? I thought to myself. It was a question often posed, yet difficult to answer in practice. Would he stand on a soapbox, condemning those who were simply trying to take care of their families? Or would he join them, offering a listening ear and a gentle word of encouragement? In that moment of reflection, I felt a nudge from within, a reminder that our actions often speak louder than our words. I wanted to be a vessel of hope, demonstrating that faith could coexist with the mundane realities of life. Perhaps, I could share a word of kindness with those around me, reminding them that they were not alone in their struggles. As I continued my shopping, I passed by the meat department once more. The crowd had grown thinner, and the man stood alone, a look of frustration etched on his face. I approached him, feeling a mix of apprehension and determination. "Excuse me," I said, my voice steady. "I appreciate your passion for sharing a message of faith, but I think there's a way to express that love without casting judgment. People are here, trying to prepare for a storm, and that doesn't diminish their need for God." He looked taken aback, his expression shifting from anger to contemplation. "I just want them to understand the urgency of the situation," he replied, a hint of vulnerability creeping into his tone. "I understand," I replied gently. "But sometimes, people need to feel safe before they can open their hearts. It's in moments of kindness and compassion that we can truly reach others." The man fell silent for a moment, and I could see the wheels turning in his mind. Perhaps my words had struck a chord, and he was beginning to see that the way we convey our beliefs can have a profound impact on others. As I finished my shopping and made my way to the checkout line, I couldn't shake the weight of the encounter. It had stirred something deep within me, a reminder of the importance of humility and grace in our interactions with others. I had witnessed the power of words and actions, both in their ability to uplift and to wound. While the man's message held truth, it also underscored the need for love in sharing faith. In a world rife with uncertainties, we must strive to embody the very essence of the gospel: compassion, understanding, and the gentle nudge of hope. In the days that followed, as the snow piled high outside my window, I found myself reflecting on that day in the grocery store. The storm had come and gone, but the lessons I learned remained etched in my heart. I was reminded of the importance of prioritizing my own relationship with God, recognizing that even in the mundane moments of life, there was an opportunity to share His love with others. The encounter had served as a catalyst for change within me. I began to approach my daily life with a renewed sense of purpose, seeking opportunities to convey kindness and understanding. Whether it was through a smile at a neighbor or a helping hand to a stranger, I realized that even the smallest gestures could reflect the light of Christ in a world that often felt dark. As winter gave way to spring, I continued to carry the message on my jacket as a reminder of the possibilities that come with faith. I realized that storms may come and go, but the hope we find in God is a constant source of strength. And so, I made it my mission to share that hope, quietly, gently, and with a heart full of grace. In doing so, I found that my own faith deepened, and my perspective on life transformed. The storms of life would always be present, but I held on to the belief that with God, all things are truly possible. 10 Down WJ, where creativity meets impact. 10 Down WJ, E.N.T.